Well, just keep trying to remember, Mr. Nutcracker, because anything you might remember could help us save Toyland and Christmas. Okay, Funshine, I'll try to remember that. We're talking Care Bears. Hit it. It was 1981. Ray Harryhausen did Clash of the Titans. The U.S. Army told us to be all that you can be. A Super Bowl ad cost $275,000, and multicolored bears and beasts from the Kingdom of Caring helped kids sort through their emotions. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a Totally Rad Christmas All-Star and a brand new guest. You'll know my first guest from the New Kids on the Block, Strawberry Shortcake, and Pound Puppies episodes from Planning for Christmas. It's Kim Cooper. Kim, what's happening?
Hey, Jerry. I'm just really excited to talk Care Bears. They're one of my favorite things from childhood.
Right on. I love it. I love it. So I knew I was like, this is going to be a great one here as soon as you said that. But before we move on, my next guest, she's actually new to the pod. You'll know her as the host of the Magic of the Season podcast. It's Ashley Dunbar. Ashley, how's it going?
Hi, Jerry. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, mostly because Care Bears were my Saturday morning cartoon special growing up. So I'm excited to dig in with you.
Right on. I love it when I have people that are actually excited to talk about the topic at hand.
Yes.
But before we do that, I have a couple of questions. So, Kim, you've been on the show. You've talked about some of your favorites, but we haven't answered all of these. And so this is a new spot here that I'm going to start doing. I don't have a title for it yet. So for now, because this is just episode 1 of season 4, it's just going to be untitled, and that's cool. What would you guys say? And we'll go Ashley and then Kim, just because Ashley, you're new. Guest, I mean, you're my new guest.
Okay, torture me first.
That's right. That's right. What would you say is your favorite 80s movie?
One Magic Christmas.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. I think simply what it is that you can never get away with that in today's day and age. A guy with a cloak just kind of, coming around into children's bedrooms seemed magical back then, not so magical now, but I do love the movie. Do love it.
And that's just movie or Christmas movie, just in general? Both?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. What about you, Kim?
So my favorite 80s movie that I watched like all the time when it came out, and it came out in the later 80s, was Adventures in Babysitting.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's so good. I was going to say a quote, but I don't think I can say it on the air, so I'll stop. Okay, well then, I guess, Ashley, you kind of answered this one. Kim, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Ooh, my favorite 80s Christmas movie?
Just Christmas movie.
Or just favorite Christmas movie?
Just favorite Christmas movie.
Well,
I just want to know a little bit more about y'all.
I think it came out in the 80s, but it's definitely A Christmas Story.
Okay, right on. It's a good one. Classic.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to battle with that one.
Exactly. All right. Round 2. Favorite 80s TV show?
The Ninja Turtles.
Love it. That's a good one.
Yep.
I'd have to say Care Bears, because I watched the heck out of Care Bears.
Very fitting. I love it. Okay, what about just favorite Christmas TV show episode? Doesn't have to be in the 80s, anytime.
Okay. Oh, it probably was one of the many Simpson episodes. I love The Simpsons. Grew up on The Simpsons. Always looked forward to their specials.
Heck yeah. Especially their Treehouse of Horrors. Oh, love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kim?
I would have to say I love more like recent shows, The Office. I love pretty much all of their Christmas episodes.
All right. I dig it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another easy one. A favorite 80s song, just 80s song in general.
It would have to be Walking on Broken Glass by Annie Lennox.
Oh, really? Okay. That's most people don't say that one. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
favorite summertime jam.
Right on.
That's a really good one. Oh, I'm trying to think. There's just so many good ones. But I have to say, just like I loved the Bangles, so kind of any of their songs, and I know that's kind of a cop out, but
That's okay.
I think when I was little, one I remember is like I loved Walk Like an Egyptian, and so like one year for Halloween, I dressed like an Egyptian princess because I liked that song.
Nice.
That's
All
pretty
right.
cool.
What about just your favorite song in general?
My favorite song, it's got to be What's My Age Again by Blink-182.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. Good choice.
I'm gonna go then with "Hey Jealousy" by the Gin Blossoms because that's just like a
Awesome.
jam. And I got to see them a couple years ago. They were at they do a big like food rally thing near me, and I got to see them live. Like, and I was like
That's cool.
super close to the stage, and it was like a dream come true. So
That's cool. I've never gotten to see the Gin Blossoms, and they're one of
They're
my
good.
favorites. So,
yeah.
okay, what about your favorite Christmas song?
I think I would have to say Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, so the Christmas song.
The Christmas song, right on.
And
Okay.
by multiple artists, multiple.
And it doesn't matter who sings it. Okay, I
No.
dig it. All right. And Kim?
I'd have to say Silent Night.
Mm,
Oh no, there's many amazing versions of
mhm.
that.
That's one that I never liked until my son was born, and I would sing it as a
Oh.
lullaby to him, and now it's my favorite. So,
Aw.
and then finally, before we get on, because I really want to get to Care Bears. So, what's your favorite '80s toy and the best toy you've ever gotten for Christmas?
I was really down with Mr. Potato Head. I don't know where he was from, but
That's cool. I'll take it.
I loved Mr. Potato Head.
I'll take it. Right on.
And I also got a Mrs. Potato Head one year too, because just couldn't just have Mr. Potato Head. I had to have
Yeah,
both of them.
That's right. You can't keep them separated. Yeah.
No.
Kim?
I would say my favorite 80s toy was probably like, I don't know, like any of my Rainbow Bright or Strawberry Shortcake or Care Bears, like quintessential 80s. Like I love those all. But one of my favorite toys that I got for Christmas it was like a little like doll set that was like a kitchen. It had table and chairs and like a little like pantry thing that my stepdad made for me. And I came down for Christmas and it was like under the tree with a couple dolls, and it was
cute.
Yeah, it was probably one of my favorite.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Of course, since this is my show, everybody knows my stories and all my favorites. Of course, He-Man, Castle Grayskull, amazing. So, and I just did a whole episode on my Christmas favorites of the other stuff. So, go listen to that one instead. You don't need to hear me say them again. But let's talk Care Bears.
Care Bears countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Who's that coming from somewhere up in the sky?
What do you guys remember about Care Bears? Like what's your history with Care Bears?
You can go first, Kim.
You don't. All right, that's fair enough. So yeah, I watched the cartoon like every weekend because it was on the Saturday morning lineup.
Yeah.
My favorite movies, I watched like the Care Bears movies, like 1 and 2, nonstop. We had them on recorded on video, and I loved those. I had the toys. I had a sleeping bag that was really awesome. I had the stuffed animals. It was one of my favorites. Whenever I flew on airplanes, I always would look for the Care Bears in the sky.
In the clouds.
The clouds are so fluffy, and you imagine.
Hoping you could see Care-a-Lot.
Hoping I could see Care-a-Lot. So yeah.
Nice. All right. What about you, Ashley?
Well, I think it's very similar to Kim, but yeah, they were part of the Saturday morning wake up call for us. And I think the one thing that I always remember is that we actually had a living room with a sunroof in it. So in early Saturday mornings, the sun was beaming on the TV. So we always had to have, when we were watching our Saturday morning, which was Care Bears was one of them, but we always had to have the pillows kind of draped over top. So they were like sheltering the TV.
Right.
So we would have our legs up, holding the pillows up and looking at the TV from laying on the ground. And the Care Bears was one of those things that we sat and watched with our legs holding the pillows up so we could see the TV.
That's awesome.
And if that isn't a struggle, I don't know what is.
It's funny because I remember I got like our old TV when my parents got a new one. And so whenever we'd hook up like the Nintendo or even just to turn it on, like it would have to like warm up before it actually would
Yes.
like tune in and find the channels. And sometimes it would be like a minute. Sometimes it would be, 30 seconds. And a lot of times it would be 10 or 15 minutes before it finally turned on. So I know the struggle about having to
Yes.
wait and sit through things, and it's pretty brutal. So
Yes.
God bless you there. So
Yeah.
I remember the Care Bears. I think I had a Grumpy Bear. I know I had the ones that were about this big, the plastic ones, not an actual plush. And I loved Grumpy because he was blue, and that was my favorite color. And I knew he was a boy, and I was a boy, so I was like, "Oh, I love it." That was probably where it kind of ended for me. But I knew a lot of the girls in my class loved Care Bears, and
Yes.
I remember seeing the movie, and I remember Spirit, in the book, used to scare the heck out of me. Also, what's the other one? Is it Dark Heart, I think, or
Yeah.
one of those with the red eyes and all that used to scare the heck out of me as well. And I loved it. I loved watching it. I don't remember 2 as much as I do 1. And I don't think I ever really watched the cartoon, but it was just, I remember it being on. And so Care Bears was always around. I remember they had like sticker books and glasses and things like that, various tie-ins at Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut's got this great offer, a Care Bear sticker book for only 49 cents with any pizza.
Look, Mom! They're Care Bears!
Yes, dear. Kids love them. They're full of stickers and pages to color.
Mom, there's Good Luck Bear!
That's nice. They're 2 books, Caring and Sharing and Play It Safe.
Mom, more Care Bears!
That's fine, dear. But remember, Care Bears are only make-believe. Thank you.
The Care Bear sticker books only at Pizza Hut.
But that's kind of like where all my stuff stops with it until about 3 years ago or so. And my kids, my daughters started watching the new version on, I think, Netflix or one of those. And so I never really sat and watched it with them. My son and I would go do something else while they were watching it. But the designs were a little more cartoony, not quite as fluffy and cuddly looking as the original 80s. And the colors were definitely more vibrant than the muted 80s color palettes.
The pastels.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like all pastel. But it was fun. I loved it. So
One of my favorite villains I couldn't remember, so I had to look it up, was I loved anytime Professor Coldheart was in an episode.
yeah, and he had like that big head, right? Like with
Yeah.
a huge forehead. I mean, he had like my forehead here or something.
He kind of looked
but-
a little like the Cold Miser from
He
Yes.
does, he
Yes.
does, yeah. He does look like Snow Miser, yeah.
That's so funny. I never put those 2 together, but I do now.
I didn't until just this second when I looked at the picture. So
He's too much. But yeah, so Care Bears is always one that's been around as far as I can remember. And I remember girls having the toys. And I think I even had a buddy that had a few of the toys, the dolls. I remember the commercials for it. The commercials were pretty fun. And it's, and new from Kenner, that's all that jazz back when Kenner was still a thing.
The Care-a-Lot playsets new from Kenner. Care Bears sold separately.
Starlight, Starbright, wish I could find Bedtime Bear tonight. He's not on the slide. Whee! He's not under the meeting table. I gotta find him, or my name's not Wish Bear. Aha! Found you. My wish came true. Oops, gotta get to work while everybody goes to sleep.
Bedtime, girls.
The Care-a-Lot playset comes with everything you see here. Care Bears each sold separately. New from Kenner.
It seems like they've lasted all these years. Like there's not a lot of properties that, I mean, yes, they faded away, but then they come back and then they fade and come back. And There's not a lot of properties that do that. There's a few here and there, but the fact that Care Bears could do that is actually quite a testament to the, its founding and its everything.
Mhm.
I agree. And the ad that you sent me for the Pizza Hut, it just reminds me of how far superior Pizza Hut was, because they always had really cool things like that. Like, the book club, if you've read books, you can go in and get, free this. And,
I loved
and
Book
it's
It.
like, so I literally, it like blew my mind about like, oh my God, yes. Like Pizza Hut used to be the coolest place ever. And they always had the coolest toys. Like, we have a place here in Canada called Swish LA, which is like our staple family dinner place. And they always have a treasure hut you can go to, and kids love it. But Pizza Hut's was always far superior. And that ad just blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, yes.
And then seeing the sticker books, it was like a sticker color book, took me back to like you'd have like the ones where you just like would have like a random sticker and you put it in the middle of like the coloring page. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to love those.
Yeah, you
Like,
color
so
all
I would
around it.
kill
and you
to
put
have
the
one
sticker
right
there and
now.
you're-
Yes.
But did you hate it? Like, you always try to put it like so perfectly. And when it was just a little off, it would always bug me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I had it.
Yeah.
It was right there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, same. They've had storybooks. They had, just about everything. They had it, like you said, sleeping bags. They even had, in fact, a couple of Christmas tie-ins that we're going to be talking about. So before we get into the movie, because I think there's more to talk about in the actual movie than there is anything else, I want to talk a little bit about the album. And so, like I showed you earlier, here is my Care Bears album. It's from Kid Stuff Records, which we've talked about here before, and it's wild. I mean,
I think wild is an understatement.
Yeah.
Now, I was saying, as Jerry, as a dad, I just wanted to get your feedback on how that would go playing in the car if you're on a, like a 3-hour car drive and you had that just playing on loop. I just want to know how that would go for you.
I would lose my mind.
I would. So.
I think I'd find a way to like say, "Oh no, the radio broke," and like I'd rather probably have silence. Now, having said that though, as a kid, I think I really would have enjoyed this album as a kid.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a Care Bears Christmas. It's a Care Bears Christmas. It's a Care Bears Christmas. It's a Care Bears Christmas.
Because it's not just the album. It's kind of like that Strawberry Shortcake Christmas album we covered, Kim, where there's like a little story in between each song.
Yeah, and I kind of was fast forwarding through it, so it's like a little confusing. I was like, is there a story? But the story kind of didn't seem to make sense at all.
Yeah, I'm going to put story in quotes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like
I felt the same way.
Yeah. They do like a song and then they'd be like, oh, Santa didn't bring any presents. What happened?
What's up with Santa?
What's up with Santa? And then in the next one, like Santa's there and brought presents.
Oh, well, I guess Christmas or not, we better get back to work.
Business as usual.
Yes, I guess that is the best thing to do. I'm sure Santa had a very good reason.
That's right, and we certainly don't want any rewards for our good deeds. Certainly. It's just that I did so want that new birthday hat. It would have made so many children happy.
And my new blanket? Aww. Come on, you bears. The spirit of Christmas hasn't gone away yet. It's still the most wonderful day of the year.
Listen, everybody. What's that?
It's sleigh bells. It's reindeer.
It's Santa Claus! Yay!
Ho, ho, ho. Hello, Care Bears, and Merry Christmas.
Yay! What'd you bring me? Remember our presents?
Ho, ho. Slow down now, you fuzzy bears. I didn't forget a thing.
I don't know. I was thinking about it and I like kind of thinking about albums, that went with properties. Like the best one ever has been, the Sesame Street. Like,
right.
Christmas or any Sesame Street.
They had some good ones, yeah.
Those characters are very like distinct and have distinct voices. And so like it seems like any of these other ones that we've seen with the different cartoons are just like I don't know, just like a cash grab effort. Like,
Well, and I think a lot of them actually were done before the cartoons were made.
yeah.
So they didn't have
So-
like the established voices,
Yeah.
whereas Sesame Street was like a thing before they started the album. So it's like you couldn't do Oscar the Grouch without having, Oscar the Grouch's voice on there. You had to have the real guy. Whereas here it's like, so it says all songs written and performed by Mark Volman and Howard Kalin. Additional voices by Anita Ferry and Monica Lauren. So there's like just 4 people that have nothing to do really with Care Bears, except that they worked at Kid Stuff Records and produced this album.
Oh,
So
good to know.
yeah,
A couple of the voices sounded like close to almost being like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
there were a
like,
few.
a
Yeah.
guy, and then they were like did like a little bit of the high pitched voice, and yeah.
Yeah, so there's only like a couple of songs that I actually recognized on here. We Wish You a Merry Christmas, and then like the 10 Bears of Christmas.
But that one was so weird because like you'd expect it to be like kind of just like the 12 days of Christmas, but it was like or like 10 Bears of Christmas, but it was like one got a present one day and then the next one got a present the next day. But it was like, but Santa just came and gave you all the presents at the same time, guys.
You got to stagger. That's how you make Christmas last. You stagger the presents. no, what was it, post-Christmas blues? You just keep it going.
You draw straws to
That's
see
right. Okay, who's getting the
opens
present
it one
today?
day.
Ah, I lost. That's crazy. But yeah, so 10 Bears, because when they originally came out, there were only 10 Care Bears.
A ton.
Now there's like 30 something Care Bears. It's ridiculous. But I just wanted to briefly mention that album. So here's just a little bit of background info before we get into this other thing. But Care Bears were originally created in 1981 by American Greetings. They're a greeting card company. It was done by Elena Kucharik, and they had some other folks do some of the brainstorming. But she was the one that was responsible for their overall look, and she popularized it. And then in 82 they sold the rights to Kenner that following spring in 82. And then by 83, they started having all these other things like this album and a couple of specials. And then by 85, we had the movies and cartoon series and stuff. So it's like, it was like a whirlwind when you think about it in terms of how things get made. Like you look at those Marvel movies and it took forever before we finally got, some of those movies made. We had a Spider-Man TV show, and we had an Incredible Hulk TV show, and that was about it. If you don't count those crummy Captain America ones that we're not going to talk about, but it's just, that's quite a turnaround. And I love that about the 80s. Like we saw that in just about everything. Like the toy would come out and then bam, there was a show, and there were comics, and then there was like a movie. And I love how they can really take that and just run with it. But they did have a Christmas movie as well. From 1988, the Care Bears Nutcracker Suite. Yeah, this was fun.
It
was also bonkers, but
yeah. I was gonna say, as a kid, like I tried to like put myself in half. I tried to look at it with like my inner child, and then I rewatched it again with like an adult mind, and I'll tell you, the two got very different results at the end. Very, very different results.
Yeah, it's definitely something special. They mash the Care Bears into the story of the Nutcracker, but they throw in a bunch of weird elements. So instead of the Rat King being or the Mouse King, being in charge, they throw in this vizier that is kind of in charge, and they relegate the Mouse King to just like his underling. And with the Care Bears in there, they're really kind of throwing things all over the place. But I mean, I liked it. It's just it's definitely of its time, and my kids seem to love it. I watched it with my kids a little while ago, and they were like just cuckoo bananas for it. So I guess it holds up. It hit its target audience,
See, I was looking for Shrieky the whole time. I was like waiting for her to come through, because Visser was, I think, what's his actual name? I forget. Oh, I can't remember his name like in the actual TV shows, but Shrieky and him were like one in a pair, and I was like waiting for her to come out, and she didn't. I was like, no.
I feel like it would have been a better story if they
Mhm.
would have had a familiar bad guy like
Mhm.
for
Yes.
her, and like just kind of made it kind of the story of the Nutcracker instead of what they tried to do. But I did remember like when you sent the link to it and I saw like just the freeze frame,
Right.
I was like, I don't think I've seen this one, but I must have. And then as I started watching it, I started remembering.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And same thing, like, I know I've seen it, but I couldn't tell you a lick about it except I had the vague like, I just remembered the Nutcracker and Grumpy, and I think Funshine is there, and, like, that's really all I remembered about it. So this whole thing and there's a lot of slapstick elements in here
Yeah.
that, for
Which it
kids, I
normally
get.
but I feel like the Care Bears like normally didn't have that many slapstick elements. And
Mhm.
like so that was just kind of thrown in there.
Well, this was the 4th movie, so by this time, and they didn't come up with anything else. In fact, it was gonna be a theatrical release like the others, but instead was released straight to TV for the Disney Channel, and they cut it up into, like, 3 parts. So, it's,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, can you imagine, like, having to wait for the next part?
Yeah. That's also I kind of maybe have vague memories of that too, because I was thinking like it was part of like the cartoon, like and
Mhm.
not a full length movie. So
It was a part of the episodes.
Right.
Yeah. I
Ex
felt like that too.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you're right. I think if they had used, what's that guy's name? Darkheart? I think if they had used
Yeah.
him, I think that would have been really, really good, where he's got, like, the big bushy eyebrows and the eye right? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if they had used him, I think it would have played a whole lot better. But you're right. Any kind of familiar face. I would have liked to have seen some of the people from the first movie, actually.
Yes.
Like Nicholas, right? I think was
Mhm.
the kid's name, Nicholas Cherrywood. I would have liked to have seen that. Yeah.
Can we watch that one and talk about that one? Just random. I love that one.
We can talk about that one. I mean,
Kim knows it by heart. She's ready.
well, and then in the end, he's the one telling the story, right?
Uh-huh.
It seems like they kind of copied that here too.
I was gonna
They
say
did,
kind of, yeah, they did.
They use the framing device where it's a teacher, and I guess she's putting on a Nutcracker play for their school or church or something. She's decides to tell the story because the little boy, the little brother of the ballerina, he's like, "You tricked me into being in this. There's where all the action and fights. Like this costume is ridiculous."
Yeah. You
Okay, but-
you promised me fight scenes.
That's
you
right.
promised me action.
But can we
It's
fast
like,
forward to
oh.
the end when the teacher just was like, when it kind of is revealed that she was the one in the story,
Mhm.
and then she's
Spoiler
just,
alert.
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Just
they
kidding. It's
figured it
40
out.
years,
But
it's 40
she's
years
like-
old.
she's
Yeah.
like, peace out. Like, and just
Yeah.
the kids.
Leaves the
Just leaves
kids.
them there.
That's another thing that the 80s did that we could never get away with now.
Oh yeah. I mean, how many like I have vivid memories of going to my cousin's house and it was just he and I. We were like maybe 5 or 6 playing with some mask toys and his dad had to go run an errand. So he went to run an
Yep.
errand and we were just by ourselves in the house playing with some mask toys, and then every time we'd see a shadow across the window, we're like, what's that? Get we're like, well, the
Yes.
door's locked, we're okay, but oh wait,
Yeah.
oh, okay. But yeah, you can't do that nowadays. Like I think about
No.
leaving my kids, even with my 10-year-old, in charge. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. She's too young. She can't. I'm not leaving them by themselves. It's the strangest thing how we've evolved as a society.
I don't even know if we call it evolving at this point because I feel like almost like what have we done? Like what have we done? Have we made it worse?
We've
Have we made it
devolved.
worse?
Touche.
Yes.
I'll accept that. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of Care Bears in this episode. Is the other thing I was noticing. So we get Grumpy because he's my favorite, so I want to mention
Yeah.
him. We get Funshine Bear, and we get Tenderheart, and then the 2 little cubs, Hugs and Tugs.
Hugs.
Hugs and Tugs. Yeah. And then we get a couple of Care Bear cousins. So the Braveheart Lion, and then we get was it Lotsa Heart?
Lots of
Elephant?
heart. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like that's Like that's it, whereas in the other ones, especially that first movie, we had like a bunch and we met a
Mhm.
bunch of the cousins, where they're like actually inducted into the Care Bear family. And it's one of those things where you're like, huh, like, is it just because they had these other characters like the Nutcracker and the the Mouse King and the Vizier and this that they just didn't want to include too many? Or was it
Yeah.
like a budgetary thing because this was their last one?
I don't know. It made it like disappointing though that there weren't
That there
all
weren't
the
more?
characters.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Now's a good time to ask, who's your favorite Care Bear?
My favorite Care Bear
Mhm.
was also Grumpy because that's the one Care Bear that we had in the house was Grumpy. And for the longest time, I actually thought it was Tugs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
because
Yeah.
they're blue and pink, and
Right.
they were my favorite because they were cute and little, and
They had the diapers.
always up to mischief. Yeah, and diapers. And then my dad was like, "No, honey, that's Grumpy." I was like, "Oh, well, okay. I love Grumpy, so that's fine." So yeah, Grumpy, and I did like Tenderheart. That was my other one.
Well, and he's kinda like the leader
Mhm.
of the Care
Yes.
Bears, isn't he? Because I think
Yeah.
he's the one that, like, bestows the tummy symbols, or I think they call them belly
Yeah.
badges now on,
Belly badge.
belly badges, yeah, that's what they're called
Oh,
now.
jeez.
I know, right? Tummy symbols, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But he's the one that bestows them on the Care Bear cousins, I think, if I recall
Yeah.
correctly. It's been a minute since I've seen the first one. I need to go back and watch it now. This kind of made me wanna go back and watch it.
Yes.
But, yeah, what about you, Kim?
Yeah, I always loved Cheer Bear. And I don't know why, like, that was my favorite, but because, like, I wasn't really a pink person, but I think just, like, the personality of Cheer Bear, I really liked. But I also really loved Tenderheart because, like, he was the leader and he always was
Mhm.
trying to solve the problems and take care of everyone. And, like, so he was always, like, yeah, like, I always really liked him too.
He was always front and center too. So you always
Mhm.
you pretty much knew you were gonna see him every episode.
Yeah, yeah, and so I think there's very few things that he actually hasn't appeared in, very few episodes. But yeah, Grumpy, like I said, was my favorite, and now as a dad, like I saw this meme a couple of years ago where it's like just this gorilla just kind of sitting there, and it says something like a dad's job is to know things and be grumpy. And as as a dad, like I get it now, So so I get
Oh,
why Grumpy was, like, my favorite. I have this connection with him that is just I love Grumpy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember in that first movie where he's wearing, like, the raincoat, for a lot of it,
Mhm.
and I always thought that was kind of funny that he just this blue bear wearing a raincoat.
I mean, you really can't go wrong liking any of the Care Bears because they're all pretty amazing.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, I was thinking, while I was watching them in split mindsets, I was
Mhm.
thinking, I don't know why, but me and my family and my brothers, we always gravitated towards watching TV shows that always had this like predictable ending or predictable, episode. You always knew it. But I think that's what kind of instilled the happiness as kids. Like you knew
Yeah.
that the ending was going to end happy, and you knew that although there was some stuff going on in the middle and some scary stuff sometimes, you just knew that the ending was going to be good. So
Mhm.
it was almost like a promising good time. And I think that's kind of why people and, people like us stick to TV shows like this.
Mhm. No, I completely agree. It's comforting. There's it's just like a warm blanket wrapped around you. It's like a Hallmark movie.
Yes.
They're gonna get together in the end and they're gonna fall in love. That's what's gonna happen. And
Yep.
it's just a matter of, okay, well, who's gonna say what this time? And who's gonna catch the other one in this lie first? And then boom, they're together. It's like the same thing with these. Yeah, of course, the Care Bears are gonna teach us how to process our feelings. They're also gonna teach us that, happy endings are a normal and good thing. And,
Mhm.
it's good to care about people and all that stuff. And I think that's why I really enjoy them as well, especially now as an adult where it's like, oh, I gotta pay bills. Oh, go to work.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
instead, it's like, oh no, everything's gonna be happy and fun. I like it.
And they
Yeah.
always have some great lessons. Like,
Mhm. Well, and
Well,
that
like
was a
look at
lot
the
of the '80s
books.
too.
mhm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, the
even the
books
two
are-
books in the Pizza Hut commercial. One of them was like play safe and something, and then the other one was like stop. I don't know, but they were both like lessons to be learned. So you just knew, you're like, oh, see, like there's always a lesson, a good lesson behind it, or something encouraging for the kids to like take from each episode. And so I was like, okay, this is why my parents are okay with us watching a little bit more than the average person should watching TV. They were okay.
Even in this, we see Braveheart talk to he kind of scolds like some of those toys, the Harlequin or where, they laugh at the Nutcracker because he fell down or something. And he's like, hey, he's trying to help you out. You should be ashamed of yourself. I mean, that's like a good lesson,
Yeah. Like he's like, you call yourself a good friend? Like you're not being a good friend. Like, wow. Okay.
Or like the plastics from Mean Girls or something. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, you're right. And that was also very common in the 80s. We get the He-Man always had a some sort of PSA. G.I. Joe had a PSA. Thundercats taught a lesson usually at the end. And I think that was just a way to kind of ease things over with some of the censors to allow you to get away with other things, a little more violent things in some of those shows.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Before we move away from our favorite Care Bears, CJ knew we were doing this episode today, and he wanted to tell you that you're his favorite Jer Bear.
Oh, shucks. CJ, I love you, man. I'll be talking with you.
Oh,
soon.
that's cute.
It's funny because there's a few people that call me Jer Bear. CJ's one of them, and then of course my wife was like one of the first to call me that. But then they started calling me that at work. There's a couple of guys at work, and it's like, this is really confusing because my wife calls me that too.
Is that a loving, doting one, or is it just like a, hey, what's going on type of, nickname?
No, it's all in good fun. But so yeah, the original 10 Care Bears were Cheer Bear, Birthday Bear, Bedtime Bear, Friend Bear. I don't remember Friend Bear. Funshine Bear, Good Luck Bear, Grumpy Bear, Love-A-Lot Bear, Tender Heart Bear, and Wish Bear. So some of those I remember, some of those I really don't. Which is the one that had like the lock on his, and it was like a heart with like a lock?
Sorry, I was just looked up. Friend Bear's the orange one that had the 2 flowers.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then was Wish Bear the one with the look?
I don't remember. I'm trying to remember, and I can't.
What about Friendship Bear? I thought that one was.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh no, never mind. Friendship Bear has the 2 flowers on it.
Oh, so that's Friend Bear then. Good. So 2 years ago for Christmas, I bought my daughter one of those Care Bear. It's like one of those 5-packs that you can find at like Walmart. And so it had like Cheer Bear and Good Luck Bear and Grumpy and Tender Heart. And I think it had Funshine as well. So it was like a 5-pack. She loves it. She carried it around. And so we got her birthday bear for her birthday this year. And she loved it.
It was Secret Bear.
Secret Bear. Okay. So he wasn't one of the original ones then. That's interesting.
It was pink.
Because I remember him from one of the movies. Man, that's cool. Well, here we're stuck with just three bears and 2 cubs. Unfortunately, but I'd say let's go ahead and just dive into this Nutcracker mashup and see what we can come up with here. It's done by Nelvana. This was their very last one, like I mentioned here, and the only voice that I really recognized out of all of them immediately was the Rat King or the Mouse King, whatever he's called, and that was John Stalker. And I only know him because he was the voice of Enkylo from Dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are leaving, Bossasaur. So like that's how I remember him. And he sounded exactly the same as the Rat King. He was also like Ugtar from Mario Brothers not Super Show, the other Mario Brothers one. And so I like, he has a distinct voice. And when I heard him, I was like, I know that guy. That's John Stalker, But these other ones, I mean, they've done quite a lot. I was looking them up. I don't want to really get into it, but I just didn't recognize their voice right away, like I would.
who was Tenderheart Bear. I
Mhm.
had to look up because I like recognize the voice from that, but he was also Chief Quimby on Inspector Gadget.
Nice.
Kind of just sounds.
Oh, cool.
Then you're like, oh, it's just Chief Quimby talking as a Care Bear.
Well, but I don't think he did Tenderheart like the whole time. I want to say like Billy May Richards was
Yeah,
Tenderheart.
I don't think he did either. Like, but definitely just this movie you noticed it. So
Chief Quimby. now, now I'm just picturing Tenderheart with that mustache and pipe. I think that's a T-shirt right there. Chief Tenderheart. I don't know. But the other voice that I really recognized right off the bat was Tara Strong, although she's not credited as Tara Strong. She's, one of the Batgirls from the animated series, and she's done quite a lot. She was Miss Minutes in the Loki series on Disney Plus. I don't know if y'all saw Loki.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, she's done a whole bunch of stuff. Really, really, really famous. But okay. So, like we mentioned, there's this teacher telling the story of the Nutcracker because it's her favorite version. Because as she tells the kids, so many people have done different versions of E.T.A. Hoffman's original Nutcracker story. So this is her version.
that cracked me up because like the kids don't care who the
I
author.
was did we feel like that was a little bit of a plug? I felt like it was a plug. I was like, you're trying to sell this book here because like why would the kids care who it is?
Which is funny because by this time, it's all public domain. Like there's no rights issues. You don't need to put that in for anything. I think it's just them trying to be educational, right? But she's telling their story, and we get the Cubs looking for a new ornament for the Christmas tree because I guess every single Care Bear has their own ornament, and so they're trying to find theirs, which is kind of a cool thing. I mean, if you think about it, like I have ornaments that I know I'm going to get when hopefully in a long, long, long time when my parents finally pass, and my brothers and I have to divide up the ornaments. I know which ones I'm calling dibs on. Sorry, guys. But did you all have your own ornaments besides one that you just like made at school?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. I stole them when I moved out though. I wasn't waiting. My dad one time was like, I was looking for that. I was like, it's gone. Don't even. Like it's dust.
You're like FaceTiming him. He can see it on your tree in the background. I don't know what you're talking about. What ornament are you talking about?
Yeah.
When I was like 8 or 9, I think my mom got me a little tree to put in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got some of my ornaments like that, like I'd gotten, from every year, like I would get some ornaments. And so I had a little tiny cute tree that I would just always put like my own ornaments on. And I have I still have all of those. I just have graduated to a much bigger tree. So.
Do you have any Care Bears ornaments?
You know what? I don't have any Care Bears ornaments, but I wish I did. Because that would be amazing, but not like the new character. Because like the new
I was gonna say
the new design
only has the new design. I looked and I saw and I was like,
Yeah, I'd want like the fuzzy ones. They're like rounder or they look more like a teddy bear that you would take with you, and like your
the new ones kind of remind me of Pokemons. Like I'm not gonna lie, they kind of look like an evolved version of a Pokemon.
It's Pikachu bear.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I'm picturing, oh gosh, this is terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Now I'm picturing Pikachu as a Pokemon with Tenderheart's mustache and his pipe standing behind him. I choose you. I gotta design the t-shirt or something.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But so everybody's decorating the tree. We get Funshine coming in, and she's like, hey, you guys got to help me with this because like there's a girl that's sad on Christmas, and like we can't have that. So they're all kind of volunteering, but Grumpy, who I guess has been doing all this menial work.
This is my favorite part.
Anything. Hey, I'll do it. I don't want to clean up anymore. It's the wildest thing. But I get it because, you do like a bunch of spring cleaning and moving things around. And after a while, you're like, I just need to get out of the house and go have some fun. So Grumpy, I'm with you, man.
my favorite part. My absolute favorite part.
I loved that. I loved when he like was shoveling and he like threw the shovel and then Hugs and Tugs caught it and they're like, we don't want this, and threw it right
Yeah.
back. Where'd this
Yes.
come from?
Oh man. It's
I
see,
would have loved to see more Christmas in Care-a-Lot though, because I think like the whole episode didn't even feel really Christmassy at all.
no, it was more just about the Nutcracker suite than it was like Christmas,
Mhm.
But
To
if
be
you think-
honest, I feel like that about the Nutcracker in general.
I
I
was
love
about
the
to say that.
story.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I always lack Christmas when it comes to the Nutcracker.
No, I completely agree. It's like there's a Christmas party at the beginning, and then you kind of go on this fantastical adventure, and that's about it, So I'm the same way. Now the music at this point has become so associated with it that when I hear Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies, it's like, oh, it's Christmas time,
Yeah.
But no, same thing. Nutcracker's not really super Christmassy to me either. I guess that's why when the Scooby-Doo did it in the Nutcracker Scoob, they had to throw in like a Christmas Carol as well. They like mashed together the two stories. If you've never seen it, you got to check it out. The Nutcracker
I was gonna
Scoob.
say it sounds like a wild ride.
I'm gonna add that to my watch list.
It makes no sense, and I love it. But you also do have to contend with Scrappy Doo, so I apologize. So they get to Anna, and they're like, well, first of all, there's like a big farcical thing where they're trying not to be seen, and then eventually they're seen anyway and land in her bed, I think. And then they're like, hey, why are you sad? Oh, well, my best friend moved away, and all I have is like my brother here, which
Wah, wah.
yeah, after being stuck in the house for like a week because of the ice storm that we got, I can see my 10-year-old saying that exact same thing about my 6 and my 4-year-olds. It's hard being the oldest, I'm telling you. Peter, he's like more interested in, of course, the action and the adventure. He's kind of like how I was when I was a kid. Yeah, Care Bears are cool, but like Thundercats are happening right over there. So like, can I go do that instead? I
He's
mean,
battling with a coat rack, like just down the hall, chilling, battling with whatever is going on and making a scene.
I'm telling you, we would do whatever we could just to get some of that action in. So like a wrapping paper tube was like a lightsaber, and we were fighting some sort of set. Touche.
The best sound is hitting someone off the head with it, though. Sorry. I'm sorry. I grew up with two brothers.
No, you're right. There's like a nice hollow thunk.
Yes.
But it almost has like a pop to it as well. It's like it's hard to describe, but you know it when you hear it.
Yes.
But like then all of a sudden, like this portal like appears. It's just like this portal to another dimension that and I didn't connect the dots, so I guess I'm just not as smart. But when I was listening to Mike Westfall, his version on the Advent Calendar House, he mentions how it's shaped like a mouse hole or a rat hole. I was like, oh yeah, good point.
Well,
I guess
I didn't put those two together.
Okay, good. I don't feel so bad then.
Yeah.
I just kind of went, okay, cool. I don't remember this being part of the Nutcracker, but maybe I missed it.
A rift in space and time. That's part of the opening bit there.
I think what I love the most is that the brother is sitting in the chair and he's sulking because he's left behind with I'm left behind with these two. I'm left behind tub sitting with these two bears. And
Tub
it was
sitting,
like,
yeah.
yeah. And Hugs and Tugs were like, huh? Like, you talking about me? and then all of a sudden this portal appears and the kid doesn't even blink. He doesn't even blink. I'm like, no way. He's not more excited that something just opened up in the wall and people just got sucked in.
That's right. Watch out. It could be Vecna on the other side. You don't know. You could be going to the upside down.
They could be Demogorgs in there.
That's right. You never know. But like when it first opened up, like my first thought was there's a Spider-Man villain. Like he's a crazy like D-list villain called the Spot. And like his whole gimmick is like he has like these like an Acme like those black holes that Bugs Bunny used to just throw, and it create a hole. That was like his thing. He actually has these kind of mini portal black hole things. And so that's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I was like, ooh, Spider-Man's coming out. Quick, call Spider-Man.
Yes.
We
That
we
might
need
have
to
made
fight this
for a
guy.
better story, but
I tell you what, it might have fit in perfectly.
I thought they were gonna pull Batman out when they were like, "Oh, there's a signal in the sky," and all of a sudden I was like, "Wait, isn't that Batman? Like, isn't that a Batman thing, or has that always been a Care Bear thing?" I had to like rethink about it.
I don't remember, honestly. I don't
I
remember
think
seeing
they
it.
might have done it before, but like we said, most of the times it was like all of them together. So
Yeah,
like they didn't
Mhm.
really have to.
Yeah, it was only like it was usually like one or two folks that like would stay behind, right? It was like
Mhm.
most of the posse would go and try to fix the problem.
Mhm.
In this case, we only have these two bears, and when the portal appears, a Nutcracker comes out. It's like this guy in a soldier's outfit, and they're like, "Hey, who are you?" And he's got amnesia conveniently. He just can't remember.
Look out!
Huh? It's a Nutcracker doll.
Ugh, why me?
Oh,
Are you all right?
I think so. I'm sorry for intruding like this. I must have lost my way.
Who are you?
Oh, I've lost my memory too.
And as they're chatting, then that's when the Rat King comes through and with a couple of his henchmen.
I liked that part though when the Rat King came out, but it took a while. I think it took a little too long for all the rats to get out there for as many as there
Yeah.
were, because there was
Mhm.
only like 6.
Right.
And then I liked when the Rat King popped out and he was super
He
tiny.
was super tiny
And that
for some
also
reason.
didn't make sense because like everyone else was full size when they popped out. But then I liked when he was gonna say charge and then he's like, hold on. And then he had to like
Oh yeah,
make
yeah.
it big and
'Cause
then
it was like really
yeah,
high pitched,
charge.
right?
Yeah. And he was still smaller than all the other rats. So it was kind of funny.
Well, I think why he was tiny is because like Braveheart, when they're in Toyland, he says something like, "Hey, we're now the size of toys." So I think when they came through the portal, they had to grow, and I guess he just didn't like
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
grow immediately. He had like some sort of delay. You know, we all develop at different
We
rates.
all have
guys.
yeah. We all have a little bit of delay somewhere.
Everybody's unique. That's right.
That makes sense, but like also maybe it would have made a little more sense if like the Braveheart thing happened before then.
Before.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of this didn't make sense. So
That's yeah.
I think before, like when the Nutcracker first came through and he
Mhm.
was backwards, his head was backwards.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he went to go shake someone's hand, and he was like, I have no arms."
That's right.
And it was just like it was so unexpected that like he would say something like that. I was like, "Oh, that's okay. That's funny. That was a
But that
good
makes
one."
it even more terrifying knowing that he was like a real person, you know, and like his head is on backwards. And all I could think about was like Spaceballs when they try to beam him up and they beam him up with the head on backwards.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Gee, Beasties, what's happened to his head?
It's on backwards.
This is terrible. Do something. I'm sorry, sir. There must have been a microconverter malfunction.
There's like a lot of different things from the 80s that I'm just like, oh, that reminds me of this. Oh, that reminds me of that. And that was definitely one of them. I got like a big Spaceballs vibe there. So
Oh wow. I need to rewatch that movie.
I
That was
know
my
it's
favorite
been
movie.
it's been a while, but it's so fun. But anyway, so then of course a little gag ensues where they're being chased and they have like snowball fights and they're trying to get away, and that's when they set off the signal for help, and I guess they trick the rats somehow and they get back into the house and they're outside. It's like ridiculous.
But the other weird part was that they so they covered the rats, like they made them run into that tree and all the snow fell.
Mhm.
And then like all the rats were there, but somehow I guess the Nutcracker was the one who lured him over there, but that like the snow fell and then he's like, oh, I remember now. Like
Yeah.
it was just
My
weird
amnesia
that
is gone.
Yeah, his amnesia was gone, but it was like just snow that fell. It wasn't like
You don't remember that old wives'
Heavy?
saying, when snow falls from a tree, your amnesia is cured?
I've never heard that one.
it's
wish
not
I
really
knew that.
not popular. Yeah, it's more obscure, uh, but yeah. So they get back in the house, and then like they're joined by the other Care Bears that we mentioned, Tenderheart and the cousins there, and that's when he's like, I gotta save, I got my memories. There's an evil vizier who's trying to take over Toyland. We got to go back and save it. And so they're like, yeah, all right, let's do this. And that's when we get the part you're talking about where Peter, right? That was his name. He had to stay back and babysit. And they're like, nah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Hugs and Tugs like sneak
Yep,
down
they're
there.
stowaways.
Like
yeah.
always, they always do that. They should know that by now.
Yeah, they're
they
always surprised each time too. Hugs and Tugs. Like
I think they purposely leave them behind so that they can be the scapegoats after, or like,
that's right. Yeah.
oh,
So
if we need somebody, we know Hugs and Tugs will be around later, and they'll definitely help us.
it's their backup plan.
Yeah.
They're ace in the hole. I gotcha. I don't know how effective that is, but I guess it very effective because it worked here. So yeah, there's some strange goings on, but they decide they're gonna go, and so then the kids, like you said, they just kind of hop on through into the Toyland portal and make it through.
And they meet up with the Harlequin. The weird, I don't know where the Harlequin comes from, or why, but she's there, or it's there.
That was so weird. And then, but I also feel like it could have been more Christmas feeling if they just made it like winter.
Yeah. That's all they needed to do. And they would have saved on coloring,
Yeah, totally.
They were trying to cut corners. All they had to do was make it a snow scene. But essentially they have to go back because if the Vizier takes over Toyland, then there'll be no more toys, and then there'll be no more Christmas, I guess, is like their logic. So I guess in this world, Christmas is only about toys. So like forget everything else that that it's about. It's just about toys. And so no toys, no Santa, no Christmas.
They don't even mention Santa. So like it's just like the toys appear on Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess parents wouldn't be able to buy toys for their kids.
Yeah, maybe.
But then that makes me wonder about like, so how do toys come over into like our world? Like,
Mouse
like, so like all the manufacturing, I guess, is done in Toyland. And then are they sentient toys? Like, is this where Toy Story comes from? It's all connected, I'm telling you.
I thought it was, I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, it's interesting that they're playing into the like Toyland theme, right? Minusing Santa. But then I also kind of thought, okay, well, the Sugar Plum Fairy is magical somewhat, and she holds the key, I guess, right now for all of the whatever's going on. So I thought, okay, well, maybe it's her. Maybe because she's magical, she makes everything happen. So that was kind of like I justified it with that, but I was thinking the same thing. I was like, okay, we have two different worlds, but then where's the connection between the two worlds? Usually
maybe
it is Santa.
Her. Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. So we come to find out that the Vizier is after the prince of Toyland's ring, and I guess when he attacked, because the Harlequin, the toys, it like kind of surprised Braveheart and all those guys. They thought they were attacking them as they were trying to take this train to the darkest part of Toyland, but they tell him the story, and I guess the prince, they think that he's either been killed or locked up, and we get like this crazy dark images of like the prince like falling from a tower and all sorts of things, and the rats like completely raze villages to the ground. I mean,
I'll never forget that day. The day when the Vizier and his army of rats overthrew the Prince of Toyland and took control over Toyland Castle.
What happened to the prince?
No one knows for sure. Some say he was killed in a big fight with the Vizier. Others say the Vizier imprisoned him in a far-off land. But whatever happened, the Vizier didn't get the prince's ring.
A ring?
The prince's ring is very powerful. Whoever wears it has complete control over Toyland. If the Vizier had gotten the ring, there wouldn't be any chance of beating him. But the Sugar Plum Fairy, who had kept all of Toyland beautiful up till then, managed to hide the ring from the Vizier. The Vizier was furious. he had his henchman, the Rat King, enslave all the toys in Toyland. The rats were merciless. They burned our homes and chained us up, making us prisoners in our own land. The Rat King then forced all the toys to look high and low in every nook and cranny for the prince's ring. My friends and I would still be looking for the ring if we didn't escape from the rats.
It's dark. It's like Viking stuff, you know. We're just gonna invade here. Which is fun.
Took a little bit away from the Care Bear essence, but I think the Nutcracker is actually quite I seen the ballet years ago, and I remember thinking, okay, this is like we were talking about before. Okay, I can see how there has magic essence in it, but it also is very dark, very dark. So yeah, I think they had to throw the darkness in there for a glimpse, but it was definitely just a glimpse.
Yeah.
Right. And the vizier in this darkness, so he tried to steal the prince's ring, which makes one the ruler of Toyland, apparently, if you have this ring. And we come to find out later on, spoilers, that it's like has these magical properties, I guess, and it can undo all sorts of things because the vizier wants to stop, toys and stop Christmas. We don't know why. We just know that he does. But I did. Did you get?
He's the Burgermeister from Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah, I got some Jafar vibes from him when he was trying. He's a vizier and he's trying to do the eye thing, hypnotize the sugar plum fairy.
And she pretends like it works, and then she's like, gotcha.
Yeah, psych. Oh man. So the Care Bears, they get it to the castle, and somehow Peter and the two cubs are like captured, but they end up tricking the Rat King into the cell instead so that they can escape, and they help save the day in the end while the Care Bears are fighting and being turned into wood by the vizier.
That was so weird.
There's a lot of weirdness in this. It doesn't really make sense, but
I did like how the ring though was hidden under his nose.
Which also reminds me of the Nutcracker Scoob. Spoilers for before. There's something very similar that happens there. But yeah, it's like she hid it in a walnut, I think?
Yeah.
On the tree. It's like a walnut ornament on this tree. And he's a nutcracker. Get it? Nut. Ah.
Yes.
I see what you did. But then we get this big farcical bit where Care Bears have the nut and it's flying this way, and then a rat grabs it, and then it's thrown this way, and then another Care Bear gets it, and yeah, in the end, the Nutcracker, and I'm going a little bit faster now, but the Nutcracker he grabs it and opens it and puts on the ring, and it's all wonderful after that. So
there's that happy ending.
The happy ending. The kids go home after saving the day. I wonder what happened to the Rat King and the Vizier.
Yeah, they kind of just left that going, showing, but it was kind of weird. Like they went home, but then is it Anna woke up and it was like a dream?
It was all a dream. Yeah. So they go home, but did they? Because she's just awake in her bed, and it's very much that whole Bobby sequence of Dallas, whereas like that whole season was just a dream that Bobby had. So she wakes up and she's like super disappointed. And then I guess it's Christmas morning and they have a new neighbor, Alan Prince, who just so happens to look like the Nutcracker, who turned out to be the prince. He just looks exactly like him. It's a doppelganger. And he has a present of a Nutcracker for her.
But like, how weird to bring your brand new neighbor a present.
That's exactly what I was thinking. There's like, he just shows up. He's like, hey, I have a present for you. Like, just for her? What about for the little boy? I mean,
the little boy, yeah.
and he seriously is like, hey, Anna, I have a present for you.
Don't say it like that.
It was weird.
Sounds so much worse when you say it like that.
That's kind of how
It's very true. It's very true. I felt the same way.
Yeah, it was a little creepy there. But I guess it worked because we come to find out that the teacher at the beginning of the story, just like Nicholas Cherrywood in that first movie, the teacher is actually Anna grown up, and she's still with Alan. So Moral of the story is, I guess, be creepy and give presents to your new neighbors, and I guess you'll end up with them? Question mark? I don't know.
Except
very-
random presents from random people.
And he
That's
was
right.
very controlling. I mean, because he was all like, Anna, are you ready to go yet? And then
Well, I mean, they do say that people in abusive relationships, they generally tend to cut them off from their friends and and family. So, and then they just peace out, and like you said earlier, just leave the kids on their own to rehearse. But why not? It's the 80s.
Yeah. You can be weird and give random people gifts and
That's right.
and just barge right into people's houses and offer them nutcrackers. Which I also felt like I was like, see, this is another bit that maybe when you're a kid you don't think too much of, but as an adult you're like, wait, did nobody let this kid in? Or like, did you not knock on the door and say, hi, I'm a new neighbor?
I don't
Like
know.
a normal
It's-
person?
Maybe he introduced himself to the brother like earlier, and the brother was like, "Hey, why don't you come on
Well,
in and join us?" I don't know.
like, but he's like, the brother goes and wakes Anna up and is like, come meet the new neighbor. And then she's just like getting out of bed. And so just like puts her robe on and then
Yeah.
comes with him. Like,
Then he's just there.
but
Yeah.
it would have been like, they could have done it so much better. Like he could have just like, they, like you said, like knocked on the door and they both kids go to the door.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hi, I'm Alan. I'm the new neighbor. And he didn't have to give a nutcracker present because you could tell he looked like
Yeah,
like the
Mhm.
nutcracker.
Alan Prince.
Prince.
Yes.
Oh man, so that was the special there. We talked a little bit about the album. That's also just crazy. That special aired on the Disney Channel December 10th, 1988. In Canada, in your neck of the woods, it aired on the Global Network. So I don't know if that's still a thing,
It is. Oh yes, it is.
right? And that was shown on Christmas Day in 1988. So
Wow.
you guys got it special.
We don't often get that.
And you guys all were like, why is this a Christmas movie? There's
Why are they
Yeah.
showing this on Christmas? But okay, serious question time though. Okay,
Yes.
if you had to be in this special, who would you be?
Oh. I like the Sugar Plum Fairy
Mm.
because she was trapped in a little glass jar and all she did was make fun of the
Was Troll the Vizier?
creepy guy. Yes, literally. I was like, oh, yes, I like her. She's funny.
Yeah, she was spunky. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Kim?
I think I probably would have been it was Sunshine Bear.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I think I mean, I gotta go all in on my man Grumpy. Like, you know, he's fun. We're simpatico now, you know.
He's a wild ride, that's for sure.
That's right. That's right. Oh man, but you know, I gotta ask. So, what would you say would be your happiest memory or moment with the Care Bears?
I'm gonna relate this to this movie because I made a note and I don't know if it's debatably my most favorite part of it and also the most annoying part. Because like I said, I watched it in 2 mind frames. But it's when, just like we talked about, is when Funshine Bear came in and she was like, well, I just need and then Grumpy comes in and he says, I don't care what you need. I'll do anything but shovel the snow. And I was like, and this is where your adult side connects with your kid's side and you totally resonate with it. And
You get it, yeah.
and because a couple days ago we just got like a whopping of snow here and it's actually like the first time it has really snowed here since before Christmas. So
Mm.
I was out shoveling the snow and literally destroyed my back just doing one shovel. And I was like, okay, so this is why my parents didn't like shoveling the snow.
Mhm. Yeah, that's beastly. What about you, Kim?
Yep.
Just like the memories I have of watching the cartoon and then like the movies, like that was like those Care Bear movies were like my go-to movies that I would just put on and like kind of like the ones that it would end and you're like, what do you want to watch? Oh, let's watch this one again. And you'd like put it on again. And I'm sure my parents loved that, but
My
I
kids
just,
are the
like,
same way. It's got to be a
always
kid
loved
thing.
Yeah, I just loved the Care Bears. Like they were just like the best, and like just all the lessons and all the things you learned about friendship, and I don't know, just really fond memories.
So for me, because I had that little grumpy bear, well, do y'all remember the Wuzzles?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so I had, I think his name is Bumble Lion. I had that Wuzzle, and he was about the same size as the grumpy bear. So I used to play like to, cross universes with them together. So that's like what I remember, and they usually were captured by like Cobra. And so the Joes would have to go in and save Bumble Lion and Grumpy Bear. And like that's what I remember. It's like the weirdest thing. But hey, who didn't mash up all their toys when they were little? So.
Right. I was just about to say, it's kind of like your background.
That's right. Yeah,
Mash up of all
exactly.
yours.
Just a mashup of all my favorite toys.
Yep.
But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of, and it could be anything. It could have been the album, it could be the movie, anything you want. I'm completely open to whatever you want to do. Just kind of set up the scene for us, and we'll go from there. And why don't we start with Kim so that Ashley can get a feel for it?
Oh my gosh. So I think it was like when I don't know that I can do an impression, but just like the whole scene with when they met the Harlequin, which why just call him a clown? Come on. But
yeah.
like just like it was weird because they were like creeping in the shadows and you could tell it was like a clown just because of the outline. And they were just like they just started fighting for no random reason. And then when Braveheart Lion had the gingerbread man, which those looked weird too. But when he had him like in a headlock and the one clown's like, don't hurt him more than he's already hurt. And then it was just like so weird. I don't know. The whole part was kind of weird and a little, I don't know, unnecessary.
That was good. All right. What about you, Ashley?
And mine is directly after that scene. And that's when the Harlequin makes fun of the Nutcracker because the Nutcracker falls and he stumbles and the Harlequin says, well, some leader he is, he can't even stand on 2 feet. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, so it's a bunch of you guys who are literally on your feet or on your butts right now. And the gingerbread men are all broken and all the toys are all broken. But,
yeah,
you just had a fumble once. That's okay. So, yeah, that's.
So I chose mine. It's the Rat King. So I'm going to try to get my best John Stalker voice here. And so this is when he fails to get the Nutcracker and he's going to report to the Rat King and he's talking to himself and excuse me here, but he goes, oh boy, is the Vizier going to be mad. He's probably going to tie my tail in knots. My pretty little tail. I'm back. It's terrible. It's like, come on, man.
And I love how he's got his like tail over his shoulder, like
he's like stroking his tail. Yeah, it's just creepy.
Oh, you did pretty good, Jerry.
Yes.
I tried. It's I'll do what I can, and some days I can do closer than others. But but it does make me wonder. So G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you think the other half is?
I think it is, just being there for your friends and being a good friend and helping them out when they need help.
It's good. It's really good. What about you, Ashley?
I would say that it's always knowing that there's a happy ending between all the crazy drama in between. There's always a happy ending.
Man, y'all's are like deep and good. Mine is just like always keep your valuables in a nut. I mean, if knowing is half the battle, that's the other half.
That's good. That's a good lesson, though.
That's right.
I like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was a missed opportunity.
Guys, it's been fun talking Care Bears and this wacky special and album with you guys. But what do you want to plug? Tell me about your shows. Why don't we start with you, Ashley?
Well, I just had my first episode and I was kind of pondering in between like what I really wanted to kind of like put behind each episode. And I think more than anything, as opposed to like going for an outline, I wanted to go for a feel. So I wanted it to, I wanted somebody who's tuning in to always feel comfortable, always feel a little bit of nostalgia, always be able to relate and feel like, oh yeah, that, this is what I do, or yeah, my family is like that as well. And I just want them to be able to come and feel like home. So what my future of the podcast is, I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I want to put out to everyone.
Right on. And where can they find you?
Well, right now, Spotify and iHeartRadio and pretty much everywhere but Apple, because I'm still waiting for Apple. So
I know,
you can find me just about anywhere.
Right. I dig it. And social media?
Yeah. So I have an Instagram. You can find me at the Magic of the Season podcast. And yeah.
Right on. Very cool. Definitely go check it out. And Kim?
Yeah, so it's Planning for a Christmas podcast. Find it everywhere you find podcasts. And I took a little time off, but I did a reboot. So I have a January episode and talks a little bit about planning even Valentine's Day. That's coming up if you need to do something for that. And then actually before we recorded, I was writing my episode that'll come out this month. So even though, it's still a ways till Christmas, you can do some planning to help you so you have more time to enjoy this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
Yeah. Social media is just Planning for Christmas podcast.
Right on.
I wanted to let you know that this is what I was doing today too with my cricket. I was doing some
there you go.
stuff.
Nice.
Crickets are fun. Yeah, gotta love a good cricket. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both good shows, great people. Go check them out. You'll love it. And on that note, I'm going to say thanks again. And I'll end it with, where there's a will, there's always a way. So check us out on our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram at Totally Rad Christmas, Twitter at Rad Christmas, Mastodon at Totally Rad Christmas at mastodon.world, or our Facebook group, Totally Rad Christmas Mall and Arcade, where you can make your voice known to us as well. We post anything and everything 80s or Christmas related. And if you're feeling like the Care Bear cousins being inducted into the Care Bear family, leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us reach more people and spread some rad holiday cheer. Now, don't forget to check out our merch shop on tpublic.com and our super dope website, totallyradchristmas.com. Come on, everybody. It's a Care Bears Christmas. Later, dudes.
Introducing 3 of the soft, cuddly Care Bears, Friend, Tenderheart, and Cheer, each sold separately.
Every day can be a Care Bear day. You can play in a caring way.
Tenderheart Bear, I love you. Off you go, Friend Bear. Gotcha. 3 cheers for Cheer Bear. Hooray!
Every day can be a Care Bear day.
Each sold separately, Friend Bear, Tenderheart Bear, and Cheer Bear are part of the Care Bears collection, new from Kenner.